Let me say, after Vita distorting the belt to proclaim me the real world champion, I'm going to tell you all, with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one.
Woo! Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network, powered up by the Belly Up Sports Network of podcasts. Sit back and enjoy as we bring you the latest and greatest in the world of sports, everything from the Detroit Lions to the state of Michigan sports to around the country and around the world. So what are you waiting for? Let's get out there and let's watch the latest edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Welcome, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. And we're also powered up, of course, by the Belly Up Sports Podcast of Networks. It is Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. How's everybody doing? Captain Lou here with you tonight on this Tuesday night. It's a glorious night for sports. Congratulations right off the top to the New York Yankees. They are the Division Series champion against the Cleveland Guardians. 5 games. How many of you thought it was going to take 5 games? I didn't really think it was going to take 5 games, but congratulations to the New York Yankees. They get to celebrate a little bit. I watched a little bit of the post-game show. They said they're going to celebrate maybe for an hour or so. Then they got to catch a flight down to Houston to take on Justin Verlander and the Houston Astros. Verlander's had their number. If you're a Houston Astros fan, I hope for your sake that they do indeed win tomorrow against the New York Yankees. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Yankees yet. Not sure on that. We're going to make our predictions here shortly. But welcome to the show, by the way. We're going to talk a lot about football and college football and pro football here tonight, as we normally do this time of year. We will touch on the MLB with the playoffs. It's one of my favorite times of the year with the football going strong with college football this past weekend. What a great weekend for college football, wasn't it? Alabama and Tennessee, Michigan and Penn State, USC and Utah, just to name a few, TCU and Oklahoma State going at it. Wow. What a great weekend for the high school or the college football scene. Great week for high school football here in the state of Michigan, too, by the way. We've got our regular season is coming to an end with monster games. But our task at hand tonight is to talk pro sports and college sports with you. And again, we have another edition of the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. 4-2 last week, so I am 6-6 on the year. We had 8 more people that beat me with that 4-2 record. That means they got 5-1 on the picks. So congratulations to them. How this contest works, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show, is I'm going to bring you 6 games, 3 college, 3 pro against the spread. I'll pick those games. If you think you can beat me on those games, send me an email to sweetlou1965@yahoo.com, or you can send me a note on Twitter. Follow me at Real Captain Lou. You can see it on the bottom of the screen, or follow me on Facebook at the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page. Give me your picks to these games, and you will be amongst those that are registered. If you can beat me for some great prizes, I got a $100 Visa gift card. We've got a $100 Fanatics gift card that we are going to give away the day after the national championship game in January. So lots of time to get registered tonight. So I invite you to be a part of the show tonight and be a part of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. So the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. So there you go. In a nutshell, that's how we do the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. We'll get to that towards the end of the show here tonight. So again, want to thank the folks at Belly Up Sports for letting us be a part of their network with the podcast, to their podcast network. I invite you to check out the website, bellyupsports.com. They've got all kinds of great articles. We have such a great array of writers of all the sports, man. We've got people talking about the Yankees right now with that Game 5 win over Cleveland. Now they've got Houston coming up. Tomorrow night, it gets underway already. We've got Game 1 of the So I'm dropping stuff everywhere. Game 1 of the NLCS coming up with Philadelphia and San Diego. Who would have thought those two teams would have won? 111 win Los Angeles Dodger team. They're out. Best team money could buy. Again, they're the Atlanta Braves of this generation of the 90s. How many division titles did they win? 14. How many World Series did they win? 1. So that's what the Dodgers are faced with. Just, it all gets back to analytics with them. I just don't understand. Run your horses. That's why they're there. If you've got don't take your pitchers out after 85 pitches, after 5 innings. Don't go the Jim Leland philosophy of baseball. Just drives me crazy. LA deserves to lose. My hat's off to the San Diego Padres. They're going to be a tough out with the home field advantage, but you can't count out the Phillies either. They beat an 101-win Atlanta Braves team. And so you just I love the format. Best of 3, best of 5, now best of 7 from here on out. That's going to be a great series. I'm going to go with the Padres in 7, only because they got home field advantage. But, hey, that doesn't even matter anymore for the most part. Look at the wild card series. 3 of the 4 winners were road teams. So it's not like that matters, right? So anyways, we'll give you our predictions here shortly. We're going to talk, as I mentioned, college football. We'll touch on the NFL. The NBA starts tonight. I'll get more into that probably later on. In November, I've got a guy that's going to come on the show. He's been on the Extravaganza numerous times. My basketball expert, I'll put him up against anybody. Steve Finnemore, ex-high school basketball coach here in the area, college basketball coach. He's got the connections. He knows. He watches the NBA like a hawk. And we're going to have him on probably in November, in about 3 weeks. We'll get a little preview of college basketball and the NBA with him. NHL started up. My Detroit Red Wings 2-0-1. Did you see that defensive play that Dylan Larkin made to save the game so it could go into overtime against the Kings? Hey, I know it's only 3 games in, but the Wings are 2-0-1. A win on the road. Overtime loss to Los Angeles last night. I get it, but they're looking good. And that one, the big line, they got 6'8", Soderholm, 6'3", and 6'2" or 6'4", whatever. I think the Red Wings are going to be fun to watch this year. And I am drinking the Kool-Aid, and Stevie Y we trust. So it's going to be fun to watch them too. So, all right, MLB prediction time. San Diego versus Philadelphia, New York Yankees versus Houston. I think I already told you I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres in 7. I just like their lineup a little better. I think it's a little more solid. I like Hader as a closer. I know he's given up a few blown saves, but I think he's going to be good in crunch time. The Phillies, I know they got Zach Wheeler going tonight, I believe. He's pretty decent. They got Bryce Harper. He's on a roll. I get it. This one's a tough one. I got to say it's a tough one. My buddy Mitch Bernstein, a diehard Phillies fan, the Philly fanatic. I've been on his show with the Burn with Mitch. I know that he's front and center right now watching that. He's been on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We'll try to get him on maybe next week to talk about it, especially if they've got a leg up going to the World Series. But it definitely, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Padres in 7. I think they're going to get back to the World Series. As far as the American League, it's one of those things. The Yankees are going to be playing on emotion, and they've got the adrenaline now. They're going to get on the plane, fly down to Houston. They're going to play game 1. I get it. Verlander's been struggling, but the Yankees are his huckleberry. I look back to when he pitched for Detroit and how many times they played the Yankees in the playoffs. They never lost to the Yankees in Detroit's run in the playoff rounds. Never did. And he's owned the Yankees in the playoffs. So I think Verlander's going to I think he's going to roll. I think he's going to win tomorrow night. I just like the Yankees lineup or the Astros lineup from top to bottom, pitching staff and their hitting. No, I know the Yankees got Stanton. I know they got Judge and this and that, but I don't think they've got the complete lineup that the Astros have. The Astros are rolling right now, man. And that big win over Seattle in 18 innings, they went through adversity. I just think they got a better pitching staff. And to me, that's going to say a lot. And don't give me the cheating scandal about that. Both teams did it. And I always go back to Houston and the Dodgers. Yes, they may have cheated in Houston, but they didn't cheat in Los Angeles. If Los Angeles was that pissed off about losing that World Series, they could have won a couple of games at home, taken care of business, and then I'd fight their battles for them. I'd be right there with them. But no, I'm not doing it. So I'm going with Houston in 5. We'll go with 6. But I honestly think Houston's going to win it in 5. They're going to win it back in Houston. I think it's going to be a shorter series. Go Astros against the Yankees. So I'm looking at a San Diego and Houston World Series. So there you go with my predictions with that. So, hey, again, welcome everybody. I'm glad you could join us here tonight on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of it tonight. Subscribe to us. We got some great prizes, as I mentioned, with our Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. Just the start of what's to come here on our network, along with Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Podcast Network. Again, excited, thrilled, honored to be a part of that broadcast network as well. So we, again, are thrilled to death to be a part of that here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We talked about some of the big games over the weekend. I was nervous, I have to say, with Michigan and against Penn State. You heard the hype. You heard Penn State was a 7-point dog, but they're coming in. James Franklin talks a good game. But, the more I thought about it, I know Penn State traveled down to Auburn and they won that one, but Auburn is not the Auburn of old. But you wondered, they've got a good run defense. Clifford's been there forever. James Franklin, he's this big guy, this big coach. And I thought they were due to win. Michigan's had their number at home in the recent years. Their record, 2-9 against ranked teams in the top 10 or whatever. 0-9 on the road, all of that. You thought, oh my God, is it going to come to an end? But Michigan started out strong. Then McCarthy had that pick 6. All of a sudden, boom, they're down by 1. Michigan goes down, kicks the field goal. They're up 16-14. But it was weird is I watched that game and I could see how Michigan was moving the ball on them on offense on the ground. And they were blowing 5-6 yards at a time. And I wasn't that worried at halftime. Penn State went ahead with that field goal 17-16, and that was it. Michigan was like, all right, let's go. And they made adjustments. And that's what Michigan's done this year. Did it against Iowa, on the road. You can laugh at you want, but Iowa is a tough place to play on the road. Ask any Big Ten team. They've had Michigan's number. Well, after it was 17-16, Michigan made it 24-17, and they rolled. There was no looking back. And James Franklin can piss and moan all he wants about that halftime stuff. You know what? You're reaching, man. You're reaching. So now, here's my question. Is Penn State a fraud? I don't know if they're a fraud, but I don't think they're quite the team that Michigan and Ohio State are. But now it begs the question, and I'm trying to keep my homerism aside. As you can tell, I'm a Michigan guy. And I'm not, believe me, I am not looking ahead past Michigan State because there's a lot of football left to be played. Michigan still has to play Illinois yet. And Illinois is 6-1? They're right up there. But now you start to think, who would you favor right now, Michigan or Ohio State? I still think I would lean towards Ohio State only because it's going to be played in Columbus. But I got a feeling this is going to be a damn close game that last Saturday in November. It's going to be a tough place to play in the Horseshoe. I get it. But I think this is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people thought back in August and July. Because McCarthy, I think, I still don't think that they've taken all the reins off of McCarthy. And I don't know if Ohio State's going to be able to stop Michigan's running game. But my biggest worry, and I've said this, and this is another thing, and Penn State, I thought, kind of got away from this. The flat pass is what's going to scare me, and that's what Ohio State usually does against Michigan, that slant in, whatever. If there's one weakness, I think it's right there, kind of in the back 7 for Michigan. But if Michigan can set the tempo and keep them off the field, you never know. But wow, that's 5 weeks away. Next week, it's for the Paul Bunyan Trophy against Michigan State. We're going to have a special guest, hopefully next week on our show, that's got some Michigan State ties. I always try to get one person either from Michigan or Michigan State during Maylocks week down here in East Lansing. The game's going to be in Ann Arbor. It's going to be at night. Man, it's going to be a hell of a time. It's going to be a lot of fun down there. Michigan has got revenge on their mind. I don't know what the line is on that game. I think it's 8.5. I'll have to double check. But, Michigan State coming off an emotional win over Wisconsin. It's not the best Wisconsin team, but Michigan State did their best to blow that one, but they still were able to come out with a double overtime win. Now they're traveling down to the Big House, and I know Michigan remembers last year. That's a game Michigan should have never lost, but they did. Should have never lost it. As it turns out, it didn't hurt them because they still got in the playoff, but it still hurts them in the back of their mind, especially because, now Tucker's 2-0 against Jim Harbaugh. And I still say Tucker should send Jim Harbaugh a very nice Christmas present because those 2 wins against Michigan have parlayed Tucker into a $95 million contract. And it's, we could talk about that on a different time. But my early prediction is going to be Michigan's going to win in the second half. They're going to pull away, but we'll get more in depth to that next week. So anyways, other developments in college football this weekend. We talked about Tennessee and Alabama. I was in my glory. My family had a tailgate on campus at Michigan State. So my wife and I went there for that, but we split before the game started. We came home. We wanted to watch it, but it was perfect for me because I got to watch Tennessee and Alabama and Michigan State and Wisconsin at the same time. It was one of those great feelings to be able to know that Michigan had a big win so I could sit back and enjoy the games and not kind of dwell on a bad game that Michigan may have had. But that Michigan State game was entertaining, but Tennessee and Alabama. Wow, what a game, huh? 52-49. Can't blame the officials in that one. It just was an offensive show. And it kind of looked like Big 12 football for a minute there, didn't it? But Tennessee's for real. Alabama, you can't count them out yet. We've got that scenario right there on the screen. What does the committee do? Georgia plays Tennessee, I think, November 5th. If Georgia beats Tennessee, they play Alabama. If Alabama beats Georgia in the championship game, they all got one loss. What do you do? That's a real possibility if Alabama can run the table. Alabama still has Ole Miss coming up, and I believe they play LSU. LSU's playing better. That Ole Miss game is no easy task because Lane Kiffin's got them playing really, really well. But if this scenario holds true right here, where you've got Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee all with one loss, what do? That's a conundrum right there. They can't take all three of them. I just don't see that happen because you got the Big Ten champion, either Michigan or Ohio State is going to go. What about Clemson if they run the table? Or how about a Pac-12 team? What about this UCLA team if they run the table? You got to start thinking about that. What about TCU? They're undefeated. They run the Big 12. We're at a point now with the college football playoff that they're probably going to take 2 teams in the SEC. It's justified, especially, my thing is if Georgia beats Alabama, it doesn't matter who wins. Well, if Georgia beats Tennessee, then beats Alabama, I still say you take Tennessee in only because they beat Alabama. Unless, but again, there's still a lot to be played. But this is a scenario that everybody's talking about with Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee all with one loss. What would they do? I mean, I know there's going to be some people in that committee that are going to want all 3 of them in. And can you believe the uproar of that? It'd be bad enough if they took 2 Big East, Big East, 2 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams. I mean, that could be a possibility. You never know there. But we'll have to keep an eye on that just to see what everybody thinks of that. But it's a possibility. Alabama plays Mississippi State this weekend, and I think they're a 21-point favorite. I know they're going to win that one. I don't know if they'll cover, but I know they're going to win that one. And you know that Nick Saban's going to be having hellfire and brimstone with them coming up this week. So I wouldn't want to be a player on the Alabama team this week. And I wouldn't want to be Mississippi State either. That's the tough part about after a big school like that loses, man. That's just like Penn State and Minnesota. I was going to put them in my Captain Lou six-pack challenge, but I like to pick harder games. And I think Penn State's going to roll against Minnesota. That's only a 5-point favorite. Penn State at home. I'm going to put a good chunk on that one. I think Penn State's going to win that. They're going to cover that easy. So, anyways, what a great weekend of college football. And also, how about USC and Utah? Utah, after that tough loss against UCLA the week before, they hosted USC. I dozed off watching that game. USC was ahead 42-35. I woke up just in time to see the 2-point play. I'm like, and I had to kind of shake my cobwebs out to think, wow, is this game over? They went for 2 and they got it. Congratulations to Utah. USC is going to be there. I think they're overachieving this year, but you got to watch out with Lincoln Riley, man. He's going to build himself something there. I know they're anointed the up-and-coming new team in college football. Well, they've got to learn to win the big games on the road before you can anoint them a national championship contender. They will be there, but they lost their chance this year because there's no way a Pac-12 team is going to get in with one loss. No way. So the only way I can see a Pac-12 team coming in is if UCLA runs the gauntlet, runs the table and goes 11-0. They may do it, or 12-0. They might do it, but that's the only way a Pac-12 team is going to get in. So before we get into the Captain Lou six-pack challenge, I want to turn my attention to the NFL real quick. But again, I want to thank everybody here. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. And also, we're powered by the Belly Up platform of podcasts, Belly Up network of podcasts, bellyupsports.com. And we want to thank Mike and Blaine and Beffy and all the gang at Belly Up Sports for allowing us to be a part of their platform and their group. They're a great group of people to work with. We got a lot of fun things coming up. I invite you to check out our website, bellyupsports.com, and check out our network, our lineup of podcasts. We got a great lineup, and we got some cool things coming, and just can't wait to be a part of it. So, but again, it wouldn't happen without folks like you that are taking time out to watch us. And so, we thank you for that as well. The NFL Week 6 in the books this weekend. Philadelphia is still riding high. I tell you what, I figured that they would cover the spread against Dallas, and they did. They're on a bye week this week, 6-0. They're looking good. They're looking really good, and that was a big win over Dallas. Just kind of a couple other things I wanted to touch on. Is Green Bay in trouble? I mean, they're 3-3. I know everybody's 3-3 right now in the NFC, it seems like, except Minnesota and Philadelphia and Dallas, I think, is 4-2. But is Green Bay in trouble? Every year, they seem to start out maybe a little bit slower than they'd like, and then they come on like gangbusters. I don't think that they're in a danger to make the playoffs just yet, but not really sure if indeed they're going to I don't think they're in danger of not making the playoffs. I don't know what kind of a run they're going to make in the playoffs this year, but I think, they've got a good elixir coming up with Washington. I know that Washington's going to be starting Tyler Heineke, but what happens if Washington wins this game with Heineke and he starts getting the Cooper Rush love? And then you got Carson Wentz out multiple games now with a broken thumb or broken finger, whatever it is. Washington is known for their quarterback controversies. They've had it for how many years now? But yeah, look for Washington and Green Bay. That's going to be a fun game to keep an eye on. I think that might be in our captain. I'm not sure if that's going to be in our Captain Lou six-pack challenge this week, but I think Green Bay is going to bounce back in that one. I think they're going to cover. They're going to win that one. They're laying 5.5 going to the nation's capital, but I think Green Bay is going to be. They know that they got to start playing better, and I think they are going to start playing better. I think they're going to win that one. One other thing, how many of you watched that game Sunday afternoon with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen? I almost called him Jim Kelly. Boy, isn't it turning out to be quite the I love it. Quite the rivalry. And it's not, they don't hate each other. Is it Tom Brady and Peyton Manning? That's what everybody wants to compare it to. But I love what Patrick Mahomes said. He said, we've got a lot of time to play yet before you can consider us in the same stratosphere as Brady and Peyton Manning. But I got to tell you, they're going to meet again next year. They're playing in Kansas City in the regular season next year. They've already figured that out with the scheduling. They're going to meet probably in the playoffs again. And more than likely, it's going to be in Buffalo. They've got the tiebreaker. Now it's like they said, it's like a 2-game advantage because, they get the tiebreak. So it's a big win. I didn't see an interception coming, like it was, but it still was a great game. Still was a great game. And, just as I mentioned, just a lot of fun to watch. These guys are going to put on a show each time they play. You got guys like Travis Kelce and Stephon Diggs and, just to name a couple of them, the weapons that they've got, both teams. And they both can run the football. Both quarterbacks can. And that's even more fun. So, really looking forward to that in the next decade. And I think Kansas City, they're going to bounce back this weekend. They play San Francisco. And San Francisco coming off that bad loss to Atlanta. I think Kansas City is a 3-point favorite in that one. Really tempted to pick that game this weekend as well. And one more thing before we get into the Captain Lou six-pack challenge as we wrap up the show tonight. Right there. Come on, Tom. The act is getting old, man. And I know the spotlight's on him. He's earned that spotlight, if you will. It's always going to be on him. But why are you doing that? You're better than that. And here's the other thing I don't understand. I watch this Tampa Bay team. They are looking old. And I was listening to, a national personality, Colin Cowherd. He's got Tampa Bay as the 11th best team in the NFL. I'm sorry. They are not the 11th best team. I'm going to look at the standings right now and just kind of pick them. I'm going to go with Buffalo 1. I'm going to say Kansas City's 2. The Chargers are 3. Well, and again, I'm just going to say here are 10 teams that are better. Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. Okay, let's do it again. Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Vikings, Packers. That's 5. Kansas City, the Chargers. You got Buffalo, the Jets. That's 9 right there. Then, you've got the Los Angeles Rams. That's 10. I think the Falcons are playing better than Tampa Bay. That's 11. And you've got the Tennessee Titans. That's 12. Are they an upper half? Maybe. I look at how Tampa Bay's playing. They're lucky that there's 10 teams that are 3-3. Them, a borderline top 10 team, I'm sorry, they're just not doing it. They're underachieving maybe. And I think that situation is going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets better. Who would have thought the Atlanta Falcons would be tied for first after 6 weeks of the NFL season? Granted, they're 3-3, but hey, they're in first place. They got a shot. The Saints are underachieving. The Panthers are the Panthers. They're imploding. Robbie Anderson's probably thinking, thank God, get me the hell out of here. And I think Christian McCaffrey's thinking the same thing right now. He's got to be just scratching his head wondering what is going on here. think McCaffrey looked good in the Detroit Lions uniform, don't you? I thought so. Well, hey, that's kind of our quick rundown of the NFL as week number 7 approaches. And, really, this is, again, I said a little bit earlier at the top of the show, my favorite time of the year. MLB playoffs going strong now. The division or the League Championship Series are set. Yankees with a big win over Cleveland in Game 5 tonight, postponed from yesterday. Philadelphia and Houston, or San Diego rather, are about to get underway. They probably have gotten underway. And of course, the Yankees now playing Houston. So the two best teams in the American League, the two upstarts in the National League. So we're not going to see the Dodgers. We're not going to see the Braves in the World Series. So we're going to have a new participant there. And, the Dodgers or the Mets, or I'm sorry, the Yankees and the Astros. It's going to be one hell of a series there as well. So there you go. All right. Without any further ado, as we conclude the program tonight, as we always do at the end of the program, we're going to play another edition of the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. How this works, we're going to give you 6 games tonight that I picked out against the spread, 3 college, 3 pro. Your job is to beat me at those games. Pick with these lines. If I've got to use a Tuesday night line on an NFL game or a college game, so do you. So you use these lines that I'm going to show. It's going to be all scrolling at the bottom of the page as we pick the games. What you need to do, you write down your picks. Send them to me via email, sweetlou1965@yahoo.com, or follow me on Twitter at @TheRealCaptainLou if you haven't already. You can give me your picks there, or put them on my Facebook page, the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page. It's that simple. It's not difficult at all. So are you ready? Here we go. We're going to go college first, as we usually do every week. First game up, number 20, Texas, against number 11, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, they covered for me last week against TCU. They lost in overtime. They were a 3.5-point dog. This week, they're a 6.5-point home dog against Texas. I thought they played pretty good. Texas is playing a lot better. Quentin Ewers, he is coming into his own. He's starting to live up to the hype. Texas is decent. I kind of flip-flop by that. I don't know if Texas is going to lose this game necessarily, but I just think 6 points is a lot to give up in this one. I could see a shootout in this one again. I could see another 45-42 game. I really could. The Cowboys are smarting after that loss. I think I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy getting the 6 points against Texas at home. A home dog getting that many points, I just don't know. Next up, we're going to go out west to the Pac-12. Undefeated UCLA goes home, that is Chip Kelly does, to Oregon to take on the Ducks. Oregon, after getting their asses kicked early in the year, they have looked really, really good. UCLA, they're undefeated, like I said, top 10 team. Both teams in the top 10. This is going to shape the landscape in the Pac-12. Can UCLA do it? Or can Oregon win at home? UCLA is a 6-point road dog. Half tempted to take them, but I just some of the games they've won, they played really good against Utah, but I think going to Oregon is going to be a different story. I'm going to go with I think this is an upset, but I'm going to go with Oregon. I'm going to lay the 6. I think they're going to win by a touchdown late. I think it's going to be like 38-31. So there you go. I've got Oregon -6, Oklahoma State +6. My last game in the college football side of the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge, I'm going to go with Ole Miss taking on LSU. LSU is a 1.5 favorite at home. So it's basically a pick-em game. Ole Miss is on a roll. What are they ranked? 7th in the country right now. Lane Kiffin, he's got them playing well. He's starting to make a believer out of me. I've preached this for years. I think he's rode his dad's coattails. He's failed wherever he's gone. He did okay at Tennessee, left for USC, and that was a disaster. He was a disaster as a pro coach. He's gotten a couple of stops now as a head coach, and he's doing really well. Finally starting to live up to some of that billing, as he was anointed by many people as the chosen one as a head coach, just like Steve Sarkisian. They go into LSU. Brian Kelly's got LSU playing great. They beat Florida on the road, playing in Death Valley. This is a tough one for me. It really is, because I don't mind Brian Kelly. I liked him. He coached at my alma mater, coached at Grand Valley, who, by the way, are the new #1 team in Division II after their big come from behind win over Ferris. He's coached there. He's coached at two of my favorite places. I went to Central. My son goes to Grand Valley. He was at Notre Dame forever. He knew when to get out while the getting was good. Boy, do they stink. But anyways, getting back to this one. My heart says LSU, but my head says Ole Miss. I got to take Ole Miss plus the 1.5. I think they're going to win. It's going to be damn close. But this is a big test. If Ole Miss can pass this test, think of the confidence that's going to give them at home when they take on Alabama in the coming weeks. But I'm going with Ole Miss plus a 1.5 on this one. A road dog. All right, let's go now to the pro side. Something I don't normally do is pick a Lions game. Lions are coming off a bye. They're a 7-point road dog at Dallas. Dallas is coming off a loss, of course, to Philadelphia. They played decently, but Philadelphia right now is just playing head and shoulders above everybody else in the NFC. 26-17 was that game. They lost to Philadelphia. Dallas is getting 7 at home. Detroit always plays well at Dallas. You know, they still got that memory of that God-forsaken playoff game. I'll never forgive Dean Blandino for that. You know, that was such a joke in that playoff game 8 years ago. But Detroit always plays good in Dallas. 7 points is a lot. I'm not saying Dallas is going to lose this game. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game. Dallas may jump out to a big lead. Detroit's getting some players back. They're 1-4. They're hurting. They got to get a win somehow. And if they want to turn their season around, this is it. They could really put a damper on Dallas' season. I don't know if Dak's going to be back. Cooper Rush will be playing against his hometown team. If not, you know, Cooper Rush from my neck of the woods here just outside of Lansing in Charlotte. Played at Central Michigan. We talked about it last week. I kind of root for him, but I'm sorry, Cooper. You're playing my Lions. So, in that statement, I'm taking Detroit getting the 7 points. Not saying Dallas is going to lose, but I'm saying Detroit's going to cover. They do really well against the spread. I'm going to go with Detroit plus the 7. Next up, we got the Jets. The Jets, Jets. They just pummeled Green Bay in Lambeau last Sunday. I wanted to tell you, I'm shocked. I thought Green Bay had more in them. Their defense played terrible. And they got no blocking. But that's Green Bay. The Jets take nothing away from Robert Saleh. They went in there and they just kicked Aaron Rodgers' ass. And I got to say, I'm not disappointed with that. Not at all. They cost me some money on a bet because I thought Green Bay could at least win that game. I took a money line. That was a mistake. Boy, that was the worst bet I made all weekend. But the Jets now go to Denver. Denver, they stunk the joint up last night. They jumped out to a 10-0 lead. I took the Chargers because I figured they'd win, and I lucked out. I woke up this morning and saw that they won, and I was like, hoorah! Did the happy dance at 4 o'clock in the morning. Denver's in crisis mode. This is a must-win for them. The Jets are playing in Mile High. It's only a 2-point spread. Russell Wilson Jr. III, he's got a lot to prove. And I just think this is a season breaker right here. Nathaniel Hackett loses this game, they're going to go to 2-5. Denver wins this one. They still have a glimmer of a hope to turn things around. And I think they're going to do it. I'm going with Denver getting the 2 or laying the 2. I think they're going to win a close game. I think it's going to be something like 17-14 or 19-16 like it was Monday night when they were on the losing end of that game against San Diego. But I'll tell you what, I'm taking the under in that game for sure. Finally, our last game, it's the Monday night game. Chicago at the Patriots. Who's a Zappy fan now? I don't know. Is he going to relinquish his quarterback? Is Braden Zappy going to relinquish his quarterback job to Mac Jones? I doubt it. Wow, did they look impressive. I mean, they just tore Cleveland to shreds. And they're supposedly got a decent defense. Chicago, they're a mess. If Detroit goes in there and gets spanked like they did, I'm not saying Chicago's gonna. It's Monday night, blah, blah, blah. Don't know what the weather's going to be like, but I got to tell you, New England is looking damn good right now. Bill Belichick is doing it again. Now, I know it's early, but I know they're only playing Chicago at home. 7.5 is the spread. I'm going to go with the Patriots in this one. So there you go. There's our picks at the bottom of the screen. Oklahoma State, I'm going to take them getting 6 at home against Texas. I'm going to take Oregon -6 at home against UCLA. I'm going to take Ole Miss getting 1.5 on the road against LSU. I'm taking Detroit on the pro side, getting 7 at Dallas. I'm going to take Denver laying the 2 points at home against the Jets, and I'm going to take New England laying 7.5 at home against the Bears. So your job tonight or this week before Saturday is to email me at sweetlou1965@yahoo.com or drop me a note on Twitter with your picks to these games. I will post them on my Twitter page, post them on my Facebook page. You can be a part of it as well for some great prizes. That is the Captain Lou Extravaganza here on that is the Captain Lou 6-pack challenge here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. I know next week on the show, we are going to be joined by beat writer for Belly Up Sports for the New England Patriots. For the Minnesota Vikings. Greg Simbeck's going to join us. Vikings out to a 5-1 start. We'll talk to him about that. Maybe we'll get him to be a part as a guest picker of our Captain Lou 6-pack challenge next week. And we're efforting to try to get a Michigan State guy to tell us if Michigan State has any chance against Michigan next weekend of the 29th in the battle for Paul Bunyan's trophy down in Ann Arbor. So a lot to look forward to in the show next week. Hey, everybody, thanks for taking time out to join us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. That's going to do it tonight here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. We invite you to be a subscriber to that as well. Tell your friends, tell your family. But opposed to all, just, I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for taking time out to watch us here. You can watch any of our other shows. Our other Captain Lou Extravaganza 6-pack challenge picks are there. You can go back and take a look at that, see how much fun we had with that as well. All right, that's going to do it till next time. This reminder, keep your heads up, keep your feet down, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving. And as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us here live on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on the Captain Lou Sports Network, powered up by Belly Up Sports Network of Podcasts. So long, everybody.